Oh, persuasive recruiting this offseason. The Minnesota Vikings go out and get Sam Darnold, one of the few true believers in Sam Darnold this offseason. This guy right here was talking about how he had a real shot. I did chicken out at the last second, and I had the Vikings at 8-9 or whatever over the projected win total.
You
though.
didn't say that. You could have just let that out of it.
I know, but you know, I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna. I did chicken out. I had him at 10-7, and then we did our prediction show, and I chickened.
It's like me being so wrong about the Jets, right, Tony? And no one else was.
Yeah. Oh, everybody's running from that. Yeah. Well, we knew how could this work out. Yeah. He's 40, coming off an Achilles. It's like you weren't saying any of that shit in the offseason, bro. Let's talk about the Vikings. I think that one of the things the Vikings have done that has just been completely overlooked is like the way the GM has put the roster together, where he's like, he goes out at the end of the offseason and signs Stephon Gilmore, right? To really, who's familiar with Brian Flores and the system and is going to allow Flores to be a little bit more aggressive because he can trust Gilmore out there. I know Gilmore is going through an injury right now, but they go out, they get a veteran linebacker in Blake Cashman, who's was kind of a journeyman, but he's come there, going to have well over 100 tackles this year, playing great football, getting after the quarterback. I looked up a bunch of stats for the game. I think he's got 3-4 sacks already this season. They go get Van Ginkel, who was with Flores in Miami, and Van Ginkel is going to have double-digit sacks this season. Like, I think his previous career high was like 5.5 sacks or something before this. So now all of a sudden, you're getting these guys. They flipped Daniil Hunter for younger Jonathan Grignard. He's double-digit sacks again this year. And they are able to use a guy like Josh Metellus, Michigan man, by the way, out there flipping between DB, linebacker, kind of a smaller version of like Derwin James, but just able to cover different people in different areas of the field, which is fantastic. All of the moves they made putting together this defense, it wasn't flashy, but when you step back, you're like, oh, they have a bunch of pieces. Then you get a breakout from a guy like Pat Jones, who's trying to hit double-digit sacks right when it's time to get paid. Good work for you, young man. Offensively, we already knew they were putting together like a great wide receiver core when it just starts with Addison and Jefferson there and Hawkinson. It's like now you get something out of Jalen Naylor, a guy from Michigan State, who we weren't sure how well he would play in the NFL, but he's out there contributing, balling, somebody that you have to like look out for when it's there. I think the Vikings have put together a team that is really good with a lot of names that people don't know. And then they just look at it and they go, well, Sam Darnold's eventually going to be Sam Darnold. And then he just keeps having monster games like last week where he throws for 5 touchdowns. Vikings, Mike.
I mean, am I just supposed to sit here and just go, I still want to see JJ McCarthy be the starter next year? Like, do you want me to just completely go the other way? Because I love what Sam Darnold's doing this year as well. But to me, this is signs that the Vikings are close to winning a championship or competing for a championship, I should say. And they need a championship caliber quarterback. And if you bring 14 back, you might be holding that championship caliber quarterback back from blossoming. So I think that this is all signs that if you put, or let's say the Vikings want to use their cap space and go with a short-term but upgrade from Sam Darnold to chase this championship, you go with a Stafford, JJ McCarthy combo next year, or you just go for it and you use that cap space to spend on the rest of the roster that you save at quarterback, and you put JJ McCarthy in this, and now the Vikings are real NFC contenders that don't have to worry about their quarterback suddenly seeing ghosts. I've seen him see some ghosts this year, Tony. It's not been all perfect.
Oh, no, it definitely hasn't. And we are definitely going to get some moments, some head shaking like, Sam, what was that, bro? But overall, he's playing a lot better and he's winning these games down the stretch. And I just think that, like, when you have the tools, the skills, whatever, you just need the right foundation and system in place to be. Like, a lot of these places where people are going, oh, well, what about Sam Darnold here or whatever? And I go, what's different than that than being on the Jets or the Panthers or whatever? Like, why would he want to leave? And my thought process is, like, It depends on what the Vikings do, because I'm hearing a lot of big analysts go, well, if the Vikings go on the road and win a playoff game, and I keep going, they still get to play the Lions. What if they're at home and they're getting a playoff game? What if somehow they stumble their way into winning out the rest of the season and get a bye and get 2 home playoff games, and Minnesota ends up in the Super Bowl, and everybody then is like, how do you move on from Sam Darnold? But you could sign some sort of a contract with him where it's like, hey, 2 years, and then we get an out. The one thing, the reason that it doesn't quite add up is because the way that they've been manufacturing the roster has been like younger guys building, getting a team to get ready for that guy on a rookie contract. I just don't think they thought it was going to go this well. We're like a hot month of football right here, and Sam Darnold could earn some MVP votes. Like, that's what, if we're talking about like Sam Darnold going on a run over the next month, that could happen. I think you got to sign him depending on how the playoffs shake out. And then you just got to say like, hey, JJ, I know this wasn't in our plans, but like, let's just keep developing, keep learning, keep being ready. I don't think you can move away, because Mike, what's the one thing every team looks for? Quarterback.
You can definitely move away, Tony. They just did it. They just moved away from quarterback and went risky to younger quarterback. And the thing is if I'm in Sam Darnold's shoes and I did what I just did, I don't care that I had Justin Jefferson. Like, we're not going to bring that up in negotiations at all. Like you're saying right now, we're going to make it seem like Sam Darnold's the MVP of the Minnesota Vikings and not Justin Jefferson, because I don't think Sam Darnold will get a single MVP vote if they got to where you're saying they're going to go to. I think it would all go to Justin Jefferson. All those votes will go straight to 18. But if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm going, you see what Baker Mayfield's making for, 2 years in Tampa? $60 million or some shit like that? Geno Smith's contract with the Seattle Seahawks? Like, the Vikings, in my opinion, would be very wise if they're going to spend money on quarterback to go and chase a championship again. And I know that you're painting a crazy, awesome, maybe drug-induced picture of Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl, but that is, I don't know, Tony, if I believe in that at all.
There's no drug-induced about this whatsoever. Let's say they get hot, and he throws for in this final.
How hot are we talking here?
Hang on, 4 games. He's got 4 games left. Let's say he throws for 1,000 yards. That's 250 a game. He throws for another 8 to 10 touchdowns, right?
Who's throwing these two?
Hawkinson, Jefferson, and Addison.
I know, exactly. But we all know Jefferson's MVP case continues to grow.
We all know that it's a QB biased award. So let's say down the stretch he goes 10-2 touchdown interception ratio with another 1,000 yards. He would end up with about 4,300 passing yards, like between 38 and 40 touchdowns to 12 interceptions.
For me, you're arguing that Brock Purdy should have been the MVP over CMC.
Mike, you know that I would never do that.
That's what you're saying, though, here. The same thing in this situation.
But what I'm saying is what's likely to happen, not what I would do. I'm saying what the media forces upon us is that this is who the MVP should be. I said CMC should have been the MVP last year, and the award went to Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. Now this year, everybody's argument for Lamar Jackson is, well, he's doing way better than he did last year. And it's like, that's because the award should have gone to CMC last year.
Exactly.
And Lamar Jackson really is the MVP candidate this year. Last year, it was about Baltimore's defense, more so, I think, than Lamar. Even though Lamar's a great player, I don't want the internet to fucking hate me for saying things that are 100% positive about Lamar.
Well, now Josh Allen's going to win the MVP, so it's all going to be fucked up.
For me right now, Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley are like,
they're right there. I would love to see Saquon win it. I would.
I want Saquon to win it, and if he breaks Eric Dickerson's record and doesn't win the MVP, I'm going to be so pissed off. Because if you don't win MVP for doing that, you can't win MVP.
Yeah, it's impossible at that point. And all he's gonna hit some touchdown totals too that are pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, he is. He's. I mean, it could be even higher too if they didn't have the tush push.
And that has to be put in the context when you're voting. You have to include that in your head. Like, this guy should have 10 more touchdowns. What?
Yeah, I think so. I think the more people get into analytics, they understand like what sort of expected totals should have been. But to wrap up this Vikings conversation here, and in Vikings fans, I'm sorry, I did just put the kiss of death on your team, and it will end tragically. And I have a bunch of friends.
See how confident I am, guys? You see how confident I am in this?
Who are in Minnesota who are going, why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? Don't stop. Don't heap this kind of pressure on us. This is the one direction I think they could go is a tag situation and then trade and try and do that and say, hey, Sam, this is what we're going to do. We think we could, we did make the investment in you this year. We turned your career around. We're going to tag you. We're going to trade you, and we'll try and make it to an organization that is going to be somewhere. We won't be super greedy. We won't go like, oh yeah, this team offered us. But I can't wait when this does. If something like this does happen, there's a couple sneaky teams out there. I'm just going to throw the Titans out there. A couple of spots where I go, hey, offensive head coach could be an interesting landing spot for Sam Darnold. But skull right there, Vikings.
They should let him walk. Let him walk. He did you well. Just let him go.
I'm not 100% sold on it yet, but sneaky Super Bowl team.